Welcome to a J400 training, section 6. In this section we'll see how to configure properly the ECU and its sensors. Here in configuration section we have the main selection, that is the kit. We have seen this selection before because it's a forced selection you have to do when you connect for the first time the ECU. However, you can remake the selection if maybe you had a mistake or you have already set up the ECU on another car and so on. However, to reset ECU parameter you can or change the kit, so you can select the LPG and the CNG one, for example, or by clicking here in Reset ECU Parameters, that will keep the kit as it is, so we will remain in LPG kit, and it will reset to default values. Here we have two selections that we already made during the auto calibration: the number of cylinder and the injectors. Usually you make this selection during the auto calibration, so it's not needed to change it in a second time. But maybe you change something, you made some tests and so on, so you will need to change it in a second time. Here we can select the source of RPM signal. Usually you can take it from RPM wire. We have a brown wire that we usually connect on coil signal or petrol ECU signal, and you can take RPM from there. It's usually the better choice, but sometimes you will have some trouble to find the right signal, so it is possible to take RPM signal from injectors, petrol injectors. Obviously there is a restriction while using this kind of selection, because idle and power management, anticipating the injection and so on will not be allowed to be made. So now if we leave here RPM signal from injectors, you will see that if we go in mapping and then in gas petrol section, we will not allowed to use petrol on idle, for example. We are not to use contribution, for example, and so on. So in injector selection we have a multiplier to select if the RPM are not read in the right way. So we will make an example. So in this car we have two multiplier, but sometimes you will have to change it, for example to 1, and so you will see that RPM are half respect to before. In the same way, if you have RPM wire connected, you can select the number of coils to make the RPM match as you see in the cockpit of the car. This procedure is not needed usually, because during the auto calibration the software make this selection in automatic way. Here we can select the parameters about the changeover, so the RPM at which we want to change over automatically when there is the right temperature and it has passed a little bit of time from the starting of the engine. And we can select even if you want to change over in acceleration or deceleration. Here below you can select some kind of engines. We have Valtronic engines, like some kind of BMW that usually works on 1 bar in every condition. So in a Valtronic car we cannot use adaptivity, and enabling start and stop will allow us to restart directly on gas, during a start and stop, if there are the right condition, of course. And there is selection for multi-air engine like Fiat and so on. And at last we have a turbo engine flag. Enable this, we will allow us to make an optimized adaptivity overall, and we have a different kind of diagnosis on pressure. Then we have the sensor section. Here you see the type of pressure sensor, the water temperature sensor. Usually you cannot change this sensor because are the ones that are selected for the kit. The only sensor you can change is the level sensor. So here we have a little selection of sensor, but we have more than the one you see here. And it is possible to change the threshold for every step of the level sensor. Usually it's shown if you select a custom one, that it could be normal or inverted. Here we have the lambda sensor selection. We can connect with the proper wire, a purple wire, lambda sensor. Now in this car it's connected the front one. Front is the pre-catalyst and rear is the post-catalyst. So this one is after the catalyst and this is before. Okay, so you now here you can see the voltage of the signal of the lambda sensor.